I'm so glad you came to join me here
Thank you for
today.
having me.
Shawn Williams, you are a musician, you're a singer, you've got this cool, like, little, like, raspy, like, voice. Like, it's just so interesting.
I'm smoking, no.
Yeah.
I don't smoke. Maybe because I used to drink whiskey, but now I'm a vodka girl.
Oh,
So
there you go.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. I don't know where it comes from. But.
You're a great musician. I listened to, your album last night because I knew you were coming here today.
Right.
And
Prepared a little.
I prepared a little, yeah. So, but what's very interesting, you got a new album out. What's the name of the album?
It's called Shadow.
Shadow.
Yes, I released it back in March.
March.
My first album.
So it's very you got a nice write up in Offbeat magazine.
I did. Yes.
I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Before I even get into the album, I'm sorry, you're from here.
I am.
You're from here. You're born in New Orleans.
And like my whole family lived on all around Bayou St. John, like growing up, so generations.
It's pretty like
very yatty.
That's
exactly.
The show. I gotta change the time that we filmed this.
Right?
Look, it's like the circle windows in the market. Look, hit this table right here.
Yeah, change it to later. I'm a musician. I'm up late.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to work.
Early in the morning. What?
You're going to work at I guess in the evening time. So when you go get coffee, it's 4 p.m. or something. So anyway, yeah, you got that great new album, and one of the things while I was listening to it, and I am not a music critic by any stretch of it. My music is I just leave on OZ all day. That's my music. So I'm not a critic of the things, but okay, so listening to your album, one of the things that really caught my attention is that every one of your songs sounds different. Mm-hmm. And so I'm not used to that with musicians. I'm used to an album like Mumford and Sons, okay, well that's Mumford and Sons.
Good stuff, but they have their sound.
It's good, but it's a one thing. You could drop if I played you a 10-second clip, you'd be hard pressed to tell me what song that was from, even if you were very familiar with the album. So how do you approach writing a song? Because your songs are very you've got your genre is, what do you call your genre?
Alt-rocka, Countrybilly, serial killer blues.
You got that?
Yes.
Alt-rock country,
it's a mouthful.
Serial killer blues.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so that's a very but the way it actually plays out,
right?
It's got every song sounds different. It's so cool. How do you do that?
Well, usually if it takes me longer than 5 minutes to write a song, I know that I'll focus on it too much, so I won't continue that song. Maybe I'll come back to it years later, but I usually either write it a cappella, which is a little harder to do if I'm driving down the road, and then go back and write the music under it. But usually my songwriting process is I start playing something on my guitar and just stream of conscious, it's there.
But it's so funny because and again, I don't know anything about the writing process of music. That's why I'm asking. But it's just but your songs are different. They've got a different sound. It's
like yesterday, I wrote 2 new songs. In the morning, that song was depressing, and then later at night, it's a very sexual, dirty song. Which usually my songs are either sexual, depressing, or something about love or just fun. Or sometimes if I look out, they're all
of the above.
Right.
That's the idea. I think your single or whatever off of that is kind of Streetcar Named Desire themed. Huh?
Yeah, I guess that could be my single. But Stella, I actually in New York they have a music book club, and they brought it down to New Orleans, and they hosted it at Siberia.
Okay.
So you had to write a song based on the Streetcar Named Desire.
Oh.
And it started off, I had in mind, I was like, I'm gonna write this, this sad song, and it turned out to be very psychotic, I guess.
Yeah. Well, it's Stella, and of course it's and all of that.
It's from Stanley's perspective.
Yeah.
And I
did play that one a couple of times.
I was sitting on the streetcar when I wrote that song.
This is pretty good. I'm I had to go back and listen because it's halfway through it, I'm like, oh wait, okay, no wait, I gotta really listen to this. Okay, this is super good.
I wrote it the day before that show too. I was like, oh my god, I was like, nothing was coming to me going into it with that. Oh, I'm gonna write this depressing song. And I had to feel it naturally. It just had to come out.
That's your serial killer aspect of your genre.
Exactly. And a lot of people say I've gotten compliments after shows that they like my music because there's no filter. It's raw. And I feel like.
But it's not overly when you say it's no filter guitar, it's not like overly dirty to where you're like, oh, come on, give me a break.
Right.
Like it's real.
It's just it's real. Like I'm honest in my songs, and that goes back to the thing about if it takes me longer than 5 to 10 minutes to write a song,
You're putting too much work into
exactly,
it, or you're overthinking it.
Yeah, and I think that's where a lot of people have writer's block because they're thinking about what other people will judge them for or will want.
Yeah.
So.
And you don't do that. So you're okay. So speaking of what people want, like you're doing this full time.
Exactly.
So you're a full-time musician.
I am.
That's got to be
since May.
So there's got to be this. I know when I did photography for a living. I mean, or when I started to do photography to make money, I should say. I kind of lost that like love and feeling for it.
Right.
Because it's an art form, but then now I'm going into it with a different mindset. Like, oh, I've got to like take pictures to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, what do people want? So
mass appeal.
Mass appeal. But if you're doing this for a living, it's got to kind of creep in. Like, all right, I need to make songs that people like, not just for me. You know?
Well, luckily, I write almost every day, and the thing about mass appeal too, going back to that, I'm booking my fall tour right now, and I've had 2 venues come back to me saying, well, we prefer more covers than originals, and then somebody else was asking, hey, can you send me a video of an hour-long set of you doing country covers? And that's just not me. I'm not, I'm not trying to please everybody, I guess, in that way. I mean, nothing wrong with doing covers, but...
If you got a paycheck, you got to make a paycheck.
True. But...
You could do some Patsy Cline for...
Exactly. Well, I would have done the quote-unquote 9 to 5 if I wanted to...
Yeah. Do that. You're doing this for... You want to be real to yourself, and it totally shows.
And if it ever gets to that point, I'm just not... It's not in me to...
And so you've done radio before you left and did this full-time. You were in radio forever.
For 13 years, started when I was 18 in Atlanta, went up to New York, worked for a morning show and a syndicated show up there, and came down to New Orleans and managed 2 stations here, an alternative station and a country station, and I was on air on both of them.
And that's kind of like...
That was like the full circle. I was like, okay, now I'm back home in New Orleans running 2 radio stations, what I always wanted to do. A little bit country, a little bit of rock and roll, which,
So that kind of, and that blend is very, apparent in your music.
Yeah.
Very apparent.
And I think the 2 genres cross, definitely, for sure, the same audience.
Yeah.
Alternative and country.
Yeah. And then, what's interesting, I mean, we're sitting here and, I don't have musicians on a lot, and I have a country musician on. So that's like, well, gee, what, you couldn't find a jazz musician, Kevin, like in town anywhere? But I think that, country is a like, how do you feel about, like, country in New Orleans? I mean, does we're not Nashville, obviously, but, like, how does like, the little bit of, like jazz, funk kind of seep into country music?
Yeah, if you know the artist Lynn Drury, she calls her stuff Nola Americana, which has got that groove of New Orleans with a little bit of, country and grittiness to it. And Kim Carson, Gala Holiday, it's like rootsy country, getting it back to that classic with a little New Orleans.
Well, because, we're the northernmost, we like to talk about how we're European, we are. We like to talk about how we're the northernmost Caribbean, country, the city or whatever that is, whatever that saying is. But we've still been part of America for a long time too. And so how that crosses, I think, is interesting. And then how do you take those genres, like, because listening to your country music, it doesn't sound like Nashville country music. I hope that's not an insult.
No. I mean, I have a song in there, What If I Stayed, that I think could fit into the Nashville kind of sound, or maybe old school Patsy Cline kind of sound. But when I moved here, like, my music did change in a little bit. Like, it was, I don't know where the influence came from in the city. Maybe it was just being here, but there's more, I guess, kind of a groove to it.
Yeah.
And I see it, like, I wrote Shake, Shake, Shake here. I wrote Come a Little Closer, which are both on the album.
And I like you say groove, because that's kind of funny, because like, that is true. You've got, when you start talking about the New Orleans music, that R&B sound, that jazz sound, there's a underlying rhythm and groove that kind of like, yes, not speed your music up, but kind of like pace your music along.
Right, and I think that's not only in the music here, but you walk out on
And this is me not saying, this is me totally like not knowing a damn thing about music, as you can tell.
Politician, no, I'm just kidding. No, when you walk out on the street, even if there's no music around, there's just kind of groove in the city and just the connection with everybody here. It's just very chill, very community, very lively, even if there's some kind of darkness undertone.
Yeah.
Everything's just, it's home.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that reflects on a lot of people's musics too, if that makes any sense.
No, I think that makes there's something about New Orleans that's very difficult to quantify, and that's exactly it. I think, and I think everybody's like shaking their, and like I'm like, yeah, no, I totally get it. Those words don't make sense in a sentence, but I totally understand what you're saying.
And I think it reflects in the music, and then just for the everyday vibe in the city, and
yeah, no, totally. All right, so people want to see you. You've got your website's below. You can listen to tons of songs on there.
Stalk me online.
You can
Facebook,
stalk you online.
Instagram, Twitter.
Hit all those up, or in person. And then you got a show coming up down in Araby.
Yes.
When is that?
That is August 21st, I believe.
Okay, if it's wrong, we'll put that on there.
And then August 29th, I'll be playing at New Orleans Harley Davidson for an event there.
Okay.
On Airline Drive, that location. And then if you're not in New Orleans, I'll be playing Birmingham and Mobile.
Birmingham and Mobile. Okay, cool.
Then,
so you're traveling around.
Yeah.
So check the website. You'll see all that, and listen to some of her songs because it is very. I really was like I was digging it last night.
Thank
I really
you.
was. I was like I had some work. I had some work to do, and I knew you were coming on, so like I put it like in a window behind some stuff, and I'm like, I'm liking this. This is great. No,
Thank you.
Very, very, very good. Your voice is beautiful. It's awesome.
Thank you very much.
I really enjoy it. So we need to actually. I'm probably gonna come. We need to come out and see you in Araby too.
Yeah, you better. I mean, I think you're committed.
We're
now.
right there. I'm
I came
totally
here to
committed.
See you.
I
gotta come.
I gotta come.
Me,
I'm going to be there. We're going to totally do it. All right. Thank you so much for coming, Shawn. I really appreciate it. Take care. Have a great one.
This coffee's delicious.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Cheers.